Liberia debunked.
In South Africa, they were the Afrikaners, and in the case of Liberia, they were the Americo-Liberians. And also in both cases,
I want to fire off. So you brought up apartheid because that's the argument that the American Liberians they ruled by apartheid. Can we cover that? They couldn't
Yeah,
move my road. Can we get into that?
my brother, that is one of the most ridiculous statements and misunderstandings of history that is out here that we need to dispel. First of all, apartheid is a system of laws based on, in fact, it was borrowed from Jim Crow by South Africa, and nothing like that happened in Liberia. In fact, the Liberian Constitution, 1847, was more just and progressive than the U.S. Constitution was that same year. Why do I say this? The first thing is they recognized the land sovereignty and the rights of the indigenous people within the territory. The second thing is they recognized the political autonomy of the indigenous people in the territory. You cannot go somewhere and impose your political will on people who outnumber you like 500 to 1. Most of the people who lived in the so-called Liberian territory in 1847, when it was declared independent, were outside of the reach and the realm of the people on the coast. The only reason the Liberian territory pushed so far north to Musadu is because in that period in history, when you settle somewhere and you declare your sovereignty, the source waters of your rivers, it would be the northern or the outmost reaches of your territory. It's not because you've been there and you posted a flag there, but it's because your rivers had to be within your territory. Otherwise, if someone else controlled it, technically they could just build a dam and cut you off. So when you see the source waters of the St. Paul River, the St. John River going all the way into what is now Guinea, at that time that was the northern stretch of the Liberian territory. It didn't mean that the people on the coast had even been there. It wasn't until 1868 when Benjamin Anderson even went to Musadu that he saw how far the St. Paul River went. So they had this concept of this is the northern territory. It wasn't because they had control, political or economic control over the area. It was simply because that was where the source waters of the rivers were. So there was no, conquest of these areas. The land that my brother is building that farm on today, that land has been in our family since antiquity. So this whole idea that people came and took land it's only true for a very small fraction of people. The majority of the ethnic groups in Liberia still have complete control over their land. It's called tribal land, and everyone knows this because the government can't even do anything in the interior without getting a tribal certificate to this day because they didn't take the land. It exists within the Liberian territory. It still belongs to those clans. It still belongs to those people. That's not what apartheid did. Apartheid took people off the land and put them on reservations. What they call, places like Johannesburg, Soweto. They took these people from lucrative farmland and put them in these ghettos, in these townships, barren, dry townships where they couldn't even grow vegetables. How can you call that apartheid? There is not a single school that has ever been built in Liberia that has banned indigenous people from attending. Most of the schools that were built in Liberia were spread out throughout the territory. The day mission up the St. Paul River, most of the students that attended that school were Pella, Loma, indigenous children. Ganta Methodist that was built in my home, more than 98% of the students were indigenous children. You've got Cuttington University in Bonn. Even in Monrovia, CWA, Monrovia College, all of these schools, there has never been a time when indigenous people did not attend those schools. The issue is, how did people get to attend the schools? Was it because the Liberian government has so much power they could just go in and grab the chief in a village and say, hey, all the children must go to school or we'll jail you? No, it had to be voluntary. And if you have your culture and your tradition and your spiritual beliefs and you respect yourself, you are not going to just willy-nilly go and adopt a foreign culture and religion. This is a process that takes time.
Liberia Debunked.